is an exclusive presentation of Raycom Sports and Jefferson Pilot Sports.
The Atlantic Coast Conference has been the home of some of college basketball's greatest coaches. NC State's Everett Case and Norm Sloan. Maryland's Lefty Drizel. Wake Forest Bones McKinney. Duke's Vic Bubas and Mike Krzyzewski. And North Carolina's Frank McGuire and the all-time winningest coach, Dean Smith. Now, two new coaches explode onto the scene. Matt Doherty was a 3-year starter for the Tar Heels during the 80s. Now, he's entrusted to keep North Carolina in the elite. Paul Hewitt has come to Georgia Tech to put the sting back in the Jackets. Tonight, the real test, the conference opener.
4 seconds, 3 seconds, Solomon at the buzzer, blocked by Battier. Here's Hill. Oh, my goodness. Oh, Haywood with the putback.
No longer is there a debate. We are definitely in a new millennium. Whether we're a year into it or just beginning it, all generations unite for Raycom and Jefferson Pilot Sports coverage of the ACC Game of the Week 2001, North Carolina and Georgia Tech. Hello, everyone. Tim Brando with my friend of all generations of the ACC, Billy Packer. Billy, let's talk a little bit about the league overall. Most people believe coming into this season, it's a bit on the rebound.
Well, I certainly think there'll be more than 3 teams get into the NCAA tournament from the league this year. As a matter of fact, before the season started, I thought it would break down maybe a third. You had Maryland and North Carolina and Duke at the top, Wake Forest, NC State sitting in the middle with Virginia, and then maybe 3 at the bottom, including Georgia Tech. But that's not the way it's played out. I think some teams, particularly Virginia, Wake, and Georgia Tech, have played a lot better than expected.
Yeah, a couple of very impressive wins for Georgia Tech out of conference, and we look for a formidable matchup among the big men in the low post. Many would suggest that with Chris Lang available for Brendan Haywood, it's advantage North Carolina against Alvin Jones tonight.
Well, I would definitely think so. Whenever you have 2 against 1, that's really not fair. Jones is off to a remarkable start again with his great shot blocking ability, and Haywood has had some problems, so maybe it will balance out.
Georgia Tech trying to put the sting back into their program with Paul Hewitt against Matt Doherty, who knows all too well of the tradition of this league.
ACC Basketball is brought to you by Bank of America, by Food Lion, by Buick, by Bud Light, by Comfort Inn, by Altel, and by Pepsi.
The 2 new coaches, 36-year-old Paul Hewitt and Matt Doherty, converse as they look forward to their first conference matchup in the ACC. We're live at Alexander Memorial Coliseum. Well, since they're getting along, it's good to see you, by the way.
Same here. And you know what, Tim?
We'll get along
like
good, too.
They're in good enough shape to go against each other tonight.
They do. They really
are
do.
trim.
Let's take a look at the Buick keys for tonight's game, Billy, and let's begin at the point.
Well, for Coach Doherty, one of the keys has been, is he going to have a point guard? He looks like he's settled on Ronald Curry, who is handling the ball extremely well. He's very physical, as we know. And I think when he gets his basketball legs together, he can be a very potent force there. For Georgia Tech, the key is hitting the boards. You can see right here, out-rebounded by 38 in losses to Iowa and Stanford. 2 very physical teams on the boards. A team much like what they'll face against North Carolina tonight. They must offset their small size on the boards.
Carolina and Georgia Tech as we begin a new year, a big year in the ACC.
I know when all is said and done, there's only one time keeps on moving on, but the good things never change. The joy of living, joy of life, joy of laughing, joy of sight, joy of cola in your life.
Comfort Inn knows the business traveler.
I've been thinking. Kill the slides. Just talk to him.
Remember, enunciate.
Take deep breaths.
Our complimentary breakfast saves you time and money.
You the man.
Our guest privileges frequency program earns you free nights fast. And we serve business travelers in over 1,500 locations worldwide.
You did it again.
I love my job.
It's more than a room. It's comfort.
Hey, what do we got here? We got a bunch of losers.
ladies!
Look at the losers!
Why don't you come back?
You gotta speak up a little bit. I don't hear you. Hear anything?
No, I don't hear
Here we are. You ready? Ready?
Yeah!
What? What are you looking at me like that for? Oh. All right, that's gotta hurt. Okay, you're out. Just don't move. Don't move. Just, how did you do that?
Take a look at the starting lineups for North Carolina. That formidable front line. Lang, Capel, and Haywood. Curry and Forte, the outstanding sophomore. The first freshman ever at North Carolina to lead them in scoring a season ago. For Georgia Tech, Babel, Lewis, Jones, Sean Fine, who's been shooting the lights out of late, and Tony Akins, who has improved. And what is a Paul Hewitt coach team that will dig deeper into its bench than you'll be accustomed to seeing in the past in the ACC, taking over for Bobby Crimmins. It's one of the most noteworthy changes with this year's team. Matt Doherty in his first year at North Carolina. This is a dream job for Doherty, longtime assistant to Roy Williams, and when Williams decided to remain in Kansas after 7 years an assistant, Doherty had gone to Notre Dame and gave him the opportunity after a 22-15 year a season ago to come back to Chapel Hill. Larry Rose, Les Jones, Reggie Kofer are officials, and the opening tip control to Georgia Tech.
Jones really stealing that tap nicely.
Lewis out of bounds to North Carolina.
If that's a sign as to how he's going to rebound tonight against Haywood, it's a good sign for Georgia Tech. Really quick off the floor. Full court pressure. And they would like to play 90 feet. Now, it's going to be interesting to see if Forte will come back and get the ball some. He can score right off it.
A leaner off the window for Forte.
Tim, there's nobody in the conference, and not very many in the country, that have the ability to take it all the way to the basket, pull up for the short jumper, and hit from the outside. Forte is really a difficult problem when you're trying to press full court.
I think he brings back memories of a time gone by in college basketball where guys had a solid in-between game. Very few people have that 10 to 12 footer in today's basketball. Akins with a soft, smooth lefty knocks it home.
That was not a smart play by Curry. Jones was pretty well tied up by Haywood. To leave Akins is not the thing to do. Forte again beats the press, so they're not doing it with the point guard. They're beating it with the number 2 guard.
Capel off the back iron. Akins on the push.
And you mentioned, Tim, that Georgia Tech will use a lot of players. The reason for that, although they don't have depth in terms of quality talent, they're using that depth so they can kind of wear people down and maybe take advantage of the fact that they don't have a lot of power to play a half-court game at a time.
When Hewitt has some time to recruit the talent, the style of play he wants, they will be outstanding. There's a foul spotted inside.
Talk about doubling down. How about tripling in? Here you have Jones, the leading shot blocker in the league, getting help from 2 men doubling down on Haywood. Now, if you're North Carolina and you see that's going to take place, boy, Forte and a few others should really be able to spot up for some jumpers.
Jones checks out. Eisenhower's come in for him, number 44.
They go 2-3 zone on the out-of-bounds situation.
Haywood. See, that's something that was missing in his game a year ago. And frankly, until the College of Charleston game, when he had a very mediocre effort, Matt Doherty was very happy with what Haywood had been doing. That foul does go against Lewis.
Well, one of the things that I think that North Carolina is going to start to do is to throw the ball inside, even when Haywood doesn't look like he's wide open. They've got to get him more touches. And there you see that tight pack 2-3 zone in the out-of-bounds situations. Haywood really posting up. Jones back in there on him.
Too strong, an air ball thrown up by Forte. Capel runs it down. Forte in traffic. Oh, what a pass to Haywood. Rejected by Jones.
And look at Jones hustle down the floor. Great move on the big man. They should hit him inside.
Eisenhower, tough shot. That was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, you really got to give a big man credit. He makes the block. Not in time.
Count it. And a foul. As Capel takes it down low right into Eisenhower.
Now watch this. The big man will come up with a great block. They have Forte in trouble. Jones goes up against him and then blocks Haywood from the back. Now watch him hustle. Doesn't take any time. And then we see back down on the other end. No question about the block right there. Capel delivers. Capel is 6'8", pretty good finisher.
I know you've seen North Carolina a couple of times this year. This is a team, to me, they get that point guard situation worked out. They became so reliant upon Ed Cota. Curry ever gets the mix that he wants, and Boone can help them coming off the bench. They could be one of the more difficult teams to match up against because of their size.
Oh, I really think so. And because Curry was on the football squad, he didn't have an opportunity in that early preseason workout to get himself into that point guard spot. So he's probably going to be another couple of weeks away from really feeling comfortable.
He started practice 2 days after the last football game. And there's Capel hitting from deep, and it's 8-3 North Carolina.
I'll tell you, this game's only 2 minutes old, but Georgia Tech's in a lot of trouble. And the reason for that, North Carolina is adapting very well to this full court play. They've got a lot more depth, a lot more size. Georgia Tech better figure out a way to get a game plan that works. A bad pass by Curry. He has a tendency to throw that one-hander.
Numbers fine. Alley-oop.
And boy, the big man running the floor. Look at Jones going the other way now. He is really hustling.
There's a 4-point swing there for Carolina. They had numbers and then turned it over. And Georgia Tech cashed in. Capel laying on the glass.
What did you say in the opening? 2 against 1. There was Jones doing a great job on Haywood on one side, but Lang at 6'10", just too powerful on the other.
3.5 minutes gone. Opening half from the Alexander Memorial Coliseum. Happy to have you with us. And a timeout taken by Georgia Tech 20 seconds prior to the TV timeout. We'll be back.
Tim, here's a pass that Curry can eliminate from his repertoire. Coming down in a break. Look at that. Just a one-handed throw. No way to make a solid play. That easy 2-on-1 break. But now watch the big man deliver. Jones hustling down the court. They missed him the last time, but not that time. Really impressed with not only his work ethic in this basketball game, but the condition that he's in.
You see the early field goal story. Heels are shooting 50%. Georgia Tech just 2 out of 6. One of those a slam dunk. Here's Babel, who's been injury plagued throughout much of his career. Negotiates
nice
down low. Yeah, he went to the offhand. Try to get that one over the taller Haywood.
Nice job by Haywood. Good thinking to come back and help Curry out. He'd given up his dribble once.
Lang, this is a mismatch against Babel, but there's a double team.
A lot of doubling down by Georgia Tech. Curry's got to be in a position to shoot.
Forte, finger roll off the backboard.
And there he was, Tim. Instead of taking the jump shot, knowing Jones was behind him, smart play, he goes for the finger roll, so Jones has no chance for the block.
Out of the timeout, TJ Vines on the floor, number 10 in white, operating at the point. Austin Lane has also come into the game for Georgia Tech. He's really been the offensive answer off of the bench for Georgia Tech early on. Here's Joseph once again showing what he has in his repertoire. Two first-year coaches in ACC debuts. There you see it. McCloskey against Sloan. Boy, they blew out NC State back in '66. Odom and Gary Williams in 1990. Guthridge and Robinson in '97. By the way, with McCloskey with the Deacons, look at that guy that was backing him up, giving him that quality scouting report.
Matter of fact, wasn't that a 20-point victory? You talk about a scouting report, huh?
By the way, the male pattern baldness began very, very early in life, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
That was a great scouting report you gave him. That was a 20-point win.
Yeah, I know it. Forte, it is going to be very difficult for Georgia Tech to press this team. And remember, Matt Doherty sitting over there with 2 freshmen that were expected to be point guard type players. So it's not like you're going to wear down Forte and Curry.
Lang, well, he's moving well without the ball, Billy.
Got some half hook, left or right hand.
He is really moving well without the ball.
He sure is. You got to remember, last year he was injured. Basically, you could say for the entire season. Never had a chance to play healthy, get himself in the kind of condition he wants. Well, he is one of the premier power forward types in the country.
Alston Lane. That's what he brings to the table.
Kentucky revisited. Here again, the press, and North Carolina really attacking.
Forte rejected by Jones. Well, he got that at the very top of the shot's flight.
What I liked about Jones on that particular play is he stayed on the ground until the last minute. We get a chance to see it here. He didn't commit himself until he knew he had a chance to pick that off. Good defensive play. It's 2 big blocks for him already in this game. Nice fake.
Haywood with the ball fake. Too strong off the backboard. Cleared by Jones. Out to Akins.
Oh, great hesitation. Dribble by Akins.
He's gotten a little quicker over time, hasn't he, Akins?
I think this entire team is in excellent physical shape. Not a lot of talent, certainly not a lot of depth of talent at Georgia Tech when you consider the fact that they've beaten Kentucky and they have beaten UCLA on the road. Really speaks well for how this team was prepared to come into the season.
Jason Capel got the foul. That's the first team foul against North Carolina. Almost 6 minutes deep, as you see.
Fine sits down, and not only are we 6 minutes deep, but he really hasn't even had a shot yet in this game, and they really need him, the leading scorer on the team.
Jones working baseline.
Nice job against Haywood. Curry's awful strong. If you try to go ahead and chest-to-chest him, we're in trouble.
Forte maybe a step or two outside his range. Pulled down by Lane. Quick outlet taken.
Probably not a good shot to be taken by Forte when they've got so much advantage down on the inside.
Babel works free. Rejected but fouled by Brendan Haywood.
Here we see Jones on the inside doing everything well tonight. Now, no double team down there. Haywood on him all by himself. Jones turns against himself and still makes the turnaround jumper. Nice play. And on the last play, for Babel to get onto that foul line, Tim, Haywood just took advantage of the fact that said, you know, the guy's too small for me. I'll let him get position. If you let a man get position, you get yourself in trouble. And that's what happened to Haywood.
I tell you, early last season, when North Carolina got out to that dismal 13-8 start and all the naysayers were out, there you see Wake Forest up 10 on Virginia at halftime, 47-37. But if you recall during that period when everyone was down on what Bill Guthridge's team was all about, and even at the same time when Bobby Crimmins was trying to fight to get his club to turn around, both Alvin Jones and Brendan Haywood, you could really make a case that they did not work hard enough in the low post. And I think both Doherty and Hewitt are getting the most out of these guys. They're playing a lot harder.
Well, Jones certainly is. This the best condition I've seen him in. He really looks good out there.
14-12. It's a 2-point game. Tech's on a 7-0 run in the last minute 30. Another steal. Lewis takes it away from Forte.
Beauty!
A flying Walinda.
He has been twice picked ACC Rookie of the Week, and you can see why. Now the freshman point guard in the ball game. Good hit ahead.
Rejected by Babel, followed by Owens, and the foul against Marvin Lewis. But you can see the crowd standing up, really energized by this frenetic play from the Jackets.
Terrific job by Georgia Tech. Lewis with the steal against Forte. Now, not only the steal, watch this play against the All-American. 360. Excellent play. Very, very nice.
And you know, that was the only move available to him on that particular play.
I mean, there was nothing done to get bonus points for a fancy play there. That was the only way he could get to the hoop.
You know, you see a play like that, and it reminds you that the behind-the-back dribble can be fundamentally sound. That particular move was exactly that. It was fundamentally sound.
Owens in the game. Max Owens played very well of late, getting more and more playing time. Could be a very solid veteran for North Carolina. Good catch. Fine, just can't get open, but a pretty good scouting report on him.
LaBarry dropping it off to Jones.
Nice elevation on the shot. Good block out.
Capel really rooted out Babel,
Yes,
didn't
he did. And Babel, normally a guy that's a pretty good blockout artist himself.
High pick for Forte to use. Fading away. Oh, it's all in the arsenal, but that time the iron unkind. Length of the floor to find. Good hit. Oh, Aikens wide open.
Well, you know what was so good about that? Labari saw him and cut the ball right across with a skip pass. Excellent play by Georgia Tech. They bought into the system. And as long as they have confidence playing it, they're going to cause trouble. I thought they were in serious trouble right at the start of this game because it looked like North Carolina was making good adjustments. Now North Carolina is kind of playing overconfident, and it's hurting them.
And Georgia Tech's hit 3 for 5 from downtown, and that certainly helps. Only one three-pointer for North Carolina, and Brian Morrison's going to come into the game now, and that should help North Carolina's plight from the perimeter.
Yes, but he can be a little frenetic with the basketball at times, and that could be a problem. And last year here, Georgia Tech was 5 for 26 from 3. Only shot 27% for the game. Obviously, a game they lost by 17 going away.
Boone just into the game, trying to create the steal, picks up the foul against Aikens. Adam Boone started the first 7 games at the point, while Curry was saying hut hut. We'll be right back. 2 games this Saturday. First at 1:30, Alvin Jones and Georgia Tech go to Maryland to take on Lonnie Baxter and company. Then at 8 o'clock, Damian Wilkins and NC State head to Virginia to take on the undefeated Cavaliers. Check your local listings for your Raycom and Jefferson Pilot Sports Station in your area. Well, the Cavaliers 10-0 coming into tonight's game. Wake Forest 11-0. Boy, they're feeling the heat in the ACC 2001. Tim Brando, Billy Packer, inviting you to join Georgia Tech and Maryland this Saturday.
Carolina stays in the man-to-man. Pepper's in the ball game now. Gives him a lot of power inside. Good backdoor cut.
Oh, fine. Beating Morrison that time.
The freshman getting some more education. Very costly now that it's conference games.
Georgia Tech now with a 3-point lead. Largest lead, just getting it a few moments ago.
2 freshmen in the backcourt now for North Carolina. Can they make some good decisions?
Haywood rejected. Nice work down low by Georgia Tech. Robert Brooks got a hand on that one from Haywood. Julius Peppers on the floor now with Morrison.
Brooks pretty athletic, but giving up a lot of weight and about 3 inches on the inside.
Boom.
So,
yep, and there's Peppers. Yeah. Matching up with his size, awfully difficult. Missed a chippy, however. Here's Aikens a pull-up.
Again, the freshman, not realizing that there was nobody ahead of Aikens, had to play him tight almost like it was a man-to-man situation. Gave up the jump shot to protect against nothing.
Georgia Tech 4 of 6 from beyond the arc. There's a poor shot by Owens. Aikens working on Boone. He believes he can beat him off the dribble. You can really see a much more active Peppers last touched it. With Boone on the floor rather than Curry, Aikens a lot more willing to drive and try to draw his attention.
A lot of substitutions, mass substitutions here, and right now North Carolina has an odd ball club on the floor. Haywood back into the ball game. He's 0 for 3 in field goals. Jones has done a fine job on him. No rebounds so far. And there's Fine getting on.
And that's big for them, as you mentioned. If he gets some points to go along with Aikens, that'll really make this matchup difficult. And now Boone turns it over.
They put a freshman in the backcourt trying to make a cross-court pass against a double team, full-court pressure. Not a good decision.
It's pretty obvious that they can't go too long without Curry on the floor. This is now a 20-2 run for Georgia Tech, Billy, and it was about the time you said they were in some trouble.
I thought
they really turned it on.
I really did. North Carolina seemed to be very focused early on against the press, had good floor balance. But since that time, maybe some baskets came too easily for them early. But Georgia Tech staying with their game plan, doing a great job.
Good defense by Haywood that time. Not allowing that move along the block by Jones. But again,
Eisenhower that time goes right in there with Peppers.
Last touch by Julius.
Now, one of the things that probably will help Georgia Tech more than North Carolina is the fact that Coach Hewitt is using a lot of people and has all year long. Different combinations. Guys get used to playing with different combinations. North Carolina tried to match them and got some combinations on the floor that I'm sure guys aren't used to playing with. And that gave Georgia Tech quite an advantage. But this is quite a run on their part.
I think he was checking.
Surprises me.
I think Hewitt was checking to see if there should have been a shot clock adjustment. I think it was correctly not called. And there's another foul. Loose ball is Forte a bit late getting there. Picks up the personal.
Akins beats him to the spot.
Well, you look out there on the floor, Georgia Tech, it seems so strange to see that many mass substitutions with a Georgia Tech basketball team.
You're right. You're thinking about probably. There's a running one-hander. Jones did walk on the play, but he really moved to that basket rapidly.
Hewitt averaged 22 wins per season in his 3 years at Siena. 36 years young, began as an assistant at CW Post. Later worked at Southern California, Fordham, and Villanova.
George Raveling gave him his first start out there at Southern Cal as far as a permanent position. But Jones beating Haywood over the top, just keeping away the passing lanes. Nice job by Lane.
Curry, and that's what I think Matt Doherty wants to see more of. Drive to the basket, have the courage to do that. The foul does go against Alvin Jones.
And one of the things it was is a one-on-one play by Curry going to that basket.
Halston Lane rather than Jones picking up the personal.
All Lane has to do there is to just try to keep him in front of him, because you know you have Jones, if it gets that close to the basket, to swat it away. Here comes that revolving door again. Lane sits down. Babel in. Eisenhower out.
Yeah. Well, you see the improvement in Ronald Curry. I think just getting in basketball condition and understanding what that is about versus football, a little different for football player. You know, it's amazing. Peppers, with his body type, seems to be so comfortable in getting back into basketball playing condition after leading the ACC in sacks during football season.
Well, a different position role, too. You know, when you got to be that point guard, you've got to really be thinking, and your conditioning is going to be altogether different. Peppers not able to stay with. Babel does a good job taking him to the basket. Peppers much more used to having a guy post up against him down low.
Peppers picks up the foul. 15th foul against North Carolina. 8-point lead for Georgia Tech. North Carolina got out to a quick start, led by as many as 6, and Tech began to warm up.
Babel shooting almost 90% from the foul line and 27% from the field. Now that's usually, you know,
right.
You know, you have guys that are great shooters and can't score, and you have guys that can shoot and can't score. Like in this particular situation, Babel ought to be able to have better than 27%. Doesn't take a lot of shots.
On the flip side of that, in the low post, you've got Haywood, the all-time field goal percentage shooter, and yet at the free throw line, he's 49%. Yeah. Babel now 4-4 from the stripe tonight. Forte in traffic. Stayed with it. Gives it up to Owens. Peppers way out. I mean, that's 6'6", and a lot of thickness that can get right up there with the likes of Haywood and Jones.
You know, one of the things that I'm watching North Carolina really out of their sets right now, because they're able to beat their guy one-on-one, and they're turning this into a one-on-one game, getting away from any kind of team offensive structure at all. That's why their percentage is so bad.
No question the shot blocking capability of Georgia Tech with Jones is a deterrent. 5 team blocks now for Tech. There's a foul against Haywood. A little too physical.
Came down on him. He had pretty good defensive positioning, and then he had to come down with that little wrist slap at the end, and that caused the foul.
And that's his second.
You know, you've got, if you're North Carolina and you're a player out there, you say, wait a second. In the history of the ACC, only Ralph Sampson and Cedric Lewis have had bigger years in shot blocking than has Jones. So, you know, why am I taking it inside and letting the best shot blocker has been in the league in a long, long time bat my shot away? You know, take it in there, look to kick on out.
Peppers and Haywood sit down. Capel back on the floor with Lang. You look at the career numbers on Jones. No fouls tonight for him, which is also pretty important to be that aggressive.
He had 141 blocks in '98. He's already the leading shot blocker, knocked out John Salley halfway through his sophomore year for the all-time shot blocker in Georgia Tech history.
Tough pass for Curry to make. Again, moving Lang. That's the 5th turnover by Carolina.
You see the type of pass it was? That one-handed throw of his. Just not going to be there. Jones gets a welcome rest. Good job on his part. Almost 12 minutes of sustained action. Sat down briefly just before.
TJ Fines has come back in. This is a very small club for Tech. Only Eisenhower better than 6'6". Fine. Tough shot. Well done.
Well, he's being played for the jump shot and puts the ball on the floor. Goes right by Forte.
The lead is a dozen. Owens. There's a big answer just inside the arc for 2. 29-19.
Nice job by Vines. Keep the ball and dribble alive.
Bowery giving it up to Jones. And Vines. On the wing. Fine, not there. Pulled down by Owens.
Well, they missed Forte. Was ahead all alone. He's still there.
Ball fake by Forte. Well, he's as good at that as any in-between player you'll find. Length of the floor, Labari.
He wants a foul. Turns around to the referee.
He's getting greedy, isn't he?
Yeah. And look at those double teams out front.
Eisenhower on the deck. Gives it up. Fines pushes it back out to Fine.
That was a tough shot. He didn't quite have the ball in his hands.
Run down by Owens. Tries to save it. But does so to Babel.
Fines gets Capel up in the air.
And we've got Owens on the deck.
I think he got hit in the head over here. And
a young lady, I believe, one of the in the crowd is also down. Ran right into Owens. And, of course, it was Owens and Eisenhower that were going for the,
I think
the ball.
Max Owens hit a spectator over here who really seems to have injured her leg.
Just to our right on the front row. And they just went head first, and it was a tremendous hustle play on both of their parts. And she just absolutely did not see them coming.
Well, no place to hide.
No.
Good break here for Georgia Tech to get a little free timeout. We'll see right there the young lady was no place to hide, no place to go, and 2 pretty good-sized ball players going right into her.
She got hit in the knee and the lower leg, the calf, between the knee and the calf. That seems to be what they're looking at. We'll certainly try to pass along to you her health status when the opportunity presents itself.
Tim, we both have to be very impressed the way Georgia Tech has played in this first half. I was really wrong there in the first few minutes where it looked like North Carolina had a sizable advantage. And when you take a look at what Georgia Tech is facing, I mean, you got to win them in the league at home. They've got Maryland on the road, Virginia on the road, then Wake Forest here, then State on the road, and then Duke here coming up in their next 6 games.
5 of the next 6 games are top 25 teams. And last year they were 0-8 on the road in the conference. And you're right, you cannot allow a home game to get away from you, particularly early. Oh, you could say, Sean, inside and out can be fine. All right. 33-21, Georgia Tech leads by 12. There are now only 3 players in the history of the ACC that have more blocks than Alvin Jones: Duncan, Sampson, and Rollins. Jones passed Mike Jaminski last month to rank 4th in career blocks. There's a ways to go to break the top 3, but interestingly, Jones broke the Tech career blocks record just after 60 games. Incredible where Jones stacks up, and there you see the numbers. He has 2 of them tonight.
Well, he'll be in the 400 category before this season's over. That's for sure. That's quite some company there.
This is a 28-7 run that Georgia Tech is on in the last 8 minutes and 20 seconds.
North Carolina got out of their half-court offensive sets. Lang waits too long. Johnson, a very good outside perimeter shooter.
Will Johnson just into the game after the timeout. Lang in traffic. Well, they were going to go inside that time regardless.
With Jones sitting on the bench, they threw the ball right over the top of the Georgia Tech defense. Look for Johnson if they're going to pack things back in there, though, to get himself open on the wings. He's a pretty good shooter.
Just the 4th turnover committed by Tech. The style of play that Hewitt employs, that's a good number. Because they want to push it. A little run and jump by Georgia Tech's perimeter defense.
Nice job by Georgia Tech.
Forte. And an offensive foul. It'll go against Forte, his second.
Well, Georgia Tech did a good job there with a 10-point lead, being able to rest Jones for about 2 minutes and not get burned.
By the way, the lady that was just to our right that was hit a few moments ago when Owens and Eisenhower were going for the loose ball did walk off. She did have some medical attention, but she walked off on most of her own power. We're happy to report. Any of you that are watching and may have known who that lady was.
Brooks was going to come in for Babel, and I think he'll get a chance to do that right after this foul attempt, and that'll probably give Georgia Tech the biggest lineup they've had on the floor tonight. Babel, again, as we said, outstanding free throw shooter. Remember his brother, outstanding player at UMass, really a top-notch defender.
And Jonathan Holmes, the youngster from Bloomington, Indiana, from North Carolina, number 14, has come into the game now. So it's Morrison, Lang, Johnson, Peppers on the floor. I mean, that's an amazing lineup to look out and see.
You know, it's a lineup that you've got to question, being on the road down 34-23. To be in a point guard situation here with a fresh player who has not played much, and Morrison, who has had some problems handling the ball against a team that wants to press.
Look at that who's who on the bench.
Yeah, and that may be a disciplined situation. Say, guys, you didn't play the kind of basketball I want. Why don't you sit over here? This may be more of a discipline move than anything else.
Matt Doherty, not known for shot treatment necessarily, but sending a message perhaps.
That's, boy, what a break. This kid can elevate.
Morrison gets up.
Morrison has the best vertical leap on the team. Can really elevate. That was a big break for North Carolina. Almost a turnover the other way.
Jones, too strong, pulled down by Will Johnson. Holmes pushes it up the floor to Lang. Forced that pass into Lang just a bit, leads to a turnover. That's 8 now committed by North Carolina.
It's a line drive pass, and Lang had excellent position there. There was no need to fire it quite so hard.
High pick from Jones.
Good
find.
screen.
Off the front rim. Holmes pulls it down. Morrison
is not bashful.
Pulled down by Halston Lane. Hey, with this lineup on the floor, you think Georgia Tech would really go after the inside play, jamming it home, forcing Lang and Peppers to maybe pick up some more foul difficulty. Here's Jones right over Lang, too strong, and Lang pulls it down.
I think that they can go inside and then kick the ball back outside against the inexperienced defenders that North Carolina has on the wings.
And you're right, they are inexperienced.
Yeah, you've got Holmes out there, and Morrison out there, and Johnson, okay? 3 guys that don't get a lot of playing time. Go inside, kick outside for the likes of Fine and Akins.
3-second violation against the Tar Heels. So the shot treatment is over. Haywood coming back in along with Forte.
That was almost the old days of the big blue team coming in and getting a couple of possessions.
They start bringing in some of those players that get to dress out but are on the JV team.
Yep.
Which, of course, North Carolina still heralded for having the junior varsity. 35-25. Just over 4 minutes to play in the opening half. rejected by Capel.
Pretty nice pull-up there.
Again, a nice defensive play by Alvin Jones in the paint.
That was a strip and not a block, but he'll get credit for the block.
Brooks giving it up to Halston Lane. I tell you, the spacing on the floor for Tech has been excellent.
Oh, yeah, and just the opposite for North Carolina. What's gotten them in a lot of trouble. And it's good to be patient right here. They got a good working margin. I think solid screens will work.
Jones has position on Hayward.
Turnaround jumper coming.
And Capel gets caught reaching in, and that's 3 on Jason Capel prior to halftime.
Now here you have the guy picking up and creating the fouls is Jones on the inside. Haywood picked up some cheap ones in there trying to guard Jones. Capel picks up a cheap one here.
I tell you, it's all, you see this in a lot of players, Billy, and I've always felt this way about Jones. If you feed and fan him, get him involved early, he'll play a lot harder for you at the other end.
Well, I think that's absolutely true in the past, but one of the things in the past, it was like a light switch for him. He tried to turn it on and off. Now he's in condition to keep it on all the time, and I think it's really paying off for him.
Mass substitutions again for Tech.
Well, I am really impressed with Coach Hewitt's substitution pattern in this respect. He has every one of these kids believing in his system. And they're coming from a system that primarily played 5 guys, played half court at a time, to a system completely the opposite. And these kids have bought into it.
Well, look at that against Harvard. Almost a triple-double for Jones in that game. They have a nice lead at home, and will return after these messages from the Atlantic Coast Conference. Closed captioning provided by Brinks Home Security. Tim Brando, Billy Packer, welcoming you to ACC 2001. You look at the standings, not of course within the conference, but overall you see 2 unbeatens there in Wake Forest and Virginia. You were talking about
That'll end tonight, obviously.
You were breaking it up into thirds. Interestingly, Georgia Tech, who you might not have even been compelled to put in the middle third, here they are playing well with non-conference wins against UCLA and Kentucky.
Well, you look around the country, Tim, and I know you're down there up in that balmy Shreveport, Louisiana area that all of us watched the snowstorm the other night. But you take a look at the ACC and the SEC and leagues around the country. There's a lot more depth, I think, this year in teams. And until you see what's going to happen in league play, there's a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah, a number of teams with gaudy records going into conference play. And that will all change once they begin playing their neighbors within the conference. Hey, fans, apply for the Dividend Miles Visa card issued by Bank of America between December 19th and February 1st, and you're automatically entered to win a VIP trip on U.S. Airways to the ACC tournament in Atlanta. No purchase necessary. For complete details, visit bankofamerica.com/ACC.
Tim, along those lines, what you were talking about there, let's just assume that the theory of a third that we talked about at the top of the show is true. That means if you are going to be in that top third, you cannot afford to lose home or away against any of those projected to be in the bottom third.
Right.
So for North Carolina, this would be a very, very dangerous position to find themselves starting the season, and they're coming up with a loss.
Akins.
Good follow through on the shot. Nice rebound by Lang.
Owens almost lost the dribble. Curry tries to save it. They were out of bounds.
Very sloppy ball handling by North Carolina.
11 turnovers for Doherty's team.
And there's no let up by Georgia Tech. They're challenging.
And again, in conference, it's almost a lesson learned all over again. Life without Coda begins now in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Other teams are having problems getting accustomed to playing without guards. Pepe Sanchez, for instance, gone at Temple, and you saw the
7 straight they lost, right?
John Chaney's not accustomed to that. You get accustomed to having a great point guard. There's Jones, fouled by Lang.
So now he's picked up a foul on Lang, 2 fouls on Haywood, and 1 foul on Capel.
He's just so active down there, and it's very difficult. And you talk about Capel with 3 of them, and between Lang and Haywood, down along the low block. Alvin Jones has managed to get to the free throw line at the very worst in those situations when he's gotten the interior pass.
Well, we talked about, you know, the Iowa situation, Stanford situation. Here's 24 points and 7 rebounds against an Iowa team, 24 points and 13 rebounds against Georgia. So he is putting up some numbers this year.
Well, those are teams that clearly have the kind of talent up front that are difficult matchups to protect. Play great position basketball underneath the hoop. Owens.
And that's what he can do.
Senior from Macon, Georgia. Mount Zion Academy.
Nice little comeback here by North Carolina. Trying to get this thing back down to a working situation before halftime.
Jones wants
Beautiful feed.
That's where you want it. And he airballs it from point-blank range.
You know what I think happened to him there? Haywood in some foul trouble. Just didn't want to go for the block at all. And Jones turned around and found himself so wide open. Watch this. He really short-armed it.
Yeah.
He expected some contact there. Lucky he didn't pick up a foul coming over the back.
Well, he did. I believe they did whistle him for it.
I'm talking about him immediately.
Oh, yeah. The moment that it occurred.
Yeah.
You're right. And Haywood is at the stripe. He was just upset. I think he was embarrassed that it happened, and then he quickly picked up the foul.
He was expecting some body contact. When it wasn't there, he just short-armed the shot.
No points and 1 rebound for Brendan Haywood in the first half.
Shooting under 50% from the foul line.
Akins pierces the double team, has it slapped away by Owens, but he got some arm in so doing.
Kind of a lackadaisical defensive effort by North Carolina. Akins split 2 guys and basically took it right to the hoop. No weak side help. It's almost like a Sunday playground defensive move. Man just beat him and nobody there to pick up.
By the way, that's Clarence Moore, the sophomore from South Lafourche High School in Norco, Louisiana. He's apparently going to redshirt.
He is going to redshirt this year. Got in his 5 games, and basically he's going to sit the rest of the season. Tough break for a team that doesn't have a lot of depth, but in the best interest of the program overall. And the press continues.
You can bet North Carolina is going to see a lot of this through their first tour of the ACC. As the book is out, put pressure on the backcourt. Morrison.
Again, the decision to take it inside when Jones is standing there waiting on you makes no sense.
Matt Doherty wanted a foul down there when Morrison took it inside. He thought there had been some contact. Reggie Kofor's getting an earful right now.
Turnaround jumper.
Jones. Good pressure defensively that time. I think made him work a bit harder to get that shot.
I think Jones could really now go for a little drop step and come back to his right on the shot. Everybody's expecting him to turn that way to shoot the turnaround jump shot.
Just over a minute left in the first half. Owens, that's his spot. This time a little short.
There's a push from Labari against Peppers. Gave up a lot of power and size, and that was about all he could do.
Georgia Tech foul on number 2, Darryl LeBerry. That's his first 9th team foul.
And Peppers goes to the line after the foul by LeBerry.
Number 45, Julius Peppers.
1 and 1.
Now, what was interesting there, a little coach's movement there. You saw Matt Doherty getting on the referees a little bit about the no call on the foul, and that time Paul Hewitt start getting on the referees a little bit. Hey, you know, let's balance this thing up a little bit. You just want them to be aware that, you know what, you're over there on the sidelines too.
Borrowed a page from the old mentor there at North Carolina.
Absolutely.
Not perhaps as subtle as Dean was over there in asking for the foul.
Has 1 T this year.
Fine negotiates baseline to LeBerry. Akins is free.
There's North Carolina again. No need to help out down inside when they have superior height to leave open a wide open jump shot.
Akins is 4 out of 6, Billy, from downtown.
Yeah, you're not gonna go down and try to help when Akins is your man on the outside.
Akins trying to check Curry as he drove into the lane. Picks up the foul with a hand check. That's 2 on him.
And again, in fairness to Curry, he did not have the opportunity for that month and a half to be working at that point guard position to try to get a feel as to how to set up an offense. Every once in a while, he has a tendency to try to just athletically take it over one-on-one, and that cannot be his role on this team.
No. Coming into tonight's game, he has 5 3-pointers. That's 1 less than he had all of last season. And your first career start goes back to the end of 99, a couple of years back. You know, it's interesting, Billy, as this time of year gets underway in early January, where football meets basketball. Michael Vick was an afterthought in Virginia because of Ronald Curry as a quarterback when coming out of high school. Not many people knew that much about the young man that's at Virginia Tech because of Curry.
Oh, beautiful pass.
Babel rejected by Lang. John stays with it.
Really good comeback right at buzzer time. Excellent first half by Georgia Tech.
There's that old saying, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Well, the reverse is true here. Nothing's the same at Tech. But what is the same when you go on the road in the ACC, look out in 2001. 44-32 Georgia Tech. By the way, last year when these two met at Alexander Memorial Coliseum, it was tied at the half. And North Carolina went on to win by 17. You see the center comparison. Now, Jones, that's not really reflective of the domination in this game for Jones. He's only 2 of 8 from the floor. But, you know, he's altered the game on the defensive end so much, whether it be the block shots or the shots that he's altered.
Well, Haywood with 1 rebound and no points. I'd say that's pretty good, negating what was supposed to be the man you're head-to-head with.
Lang does have 6 points, so between the two-headed monster of the North Carolina front line, only 6 points provided by the combination of Haywood and Lang, and all of them from Kris Lang.
And Jones was 7. Haywood came out to start the second half and went over to the referee and said, he's pushing me in the back with his elbow. You don't look for help when you've had 1 rebound and no points from the referees. Go get it done, young man. Not that way.
He just threw that one up. He's frustrated. And the signs of that frustration were all in that shot. Same starting 5s for both teams as we open the second half.
As I said, Lewis only got in, lucky pass. Only got in 6 minutes in that first half.
Fine off the bounce. Haywood brings it down. Just his 2nd rebound of the night.
Going inside time and again. Another bad shot by North Carolina.
Right, again, this is a little higher percentage shot for Lang off the feed from Haywood.
Give Haywood some credit right there, though, to giving the ball right back to Lang, knowing that he had a much better shot.
Babel working in on the taller Lang.
Tries his little half hook.
A little quick jump hook. Pretty good look, just didn't finish.
What a shot by Forte.
Counted and a foul.
Sensational play. Lewis allowed him to turn the corner, and then Forte, who just seems to make up any kind of shot that he needs in a given moment. Look at this, hanging on the inside, the half hook. Babel pushes Haywood. Terrific play by Forte. Now, one of the things, and Tim, we saw this time and time again. Last year with Ed Cota, he would penetrate and kick out, so Forte would have a lot of wide open jumpers. This year he's not getting those shots. Consequently, that's an example.
Exactly, no doubt.
That's what he got last year, where he could square up and wait for the kick out.
Hey, that was a 5-point trip. And they're on a 7-0 run here. Fine, can't hit.
Boy, he missed 2 jumpers of the shots that you'd like to get for him if you're Paul Hewitt.
Well, we were talking to Matt Doherty before the game about that, and the adjustments being made by guys like Forte because of the loss of Cota. And that's another example of it. Again, Curry inside, create, and allow Forte to show his forte.
Timeout for Georgia Tech here. This is a good run by North Carolina. They've got to get their mind set back again, does Georgia Tech. Forte gives us the outside jump shot. He gives the penetration move on the inside with a half hook, and then penetrate with a little jumper. He is quite a scorer, this young man.
It's a 10-0 run to open this half. Tech and Paul Hewitt looking to scratch for the first time in the second half, and he'll get a much-needed timeout.
Sure needed that one.
We'll return after this message from the Atlantic Coast Conference. Joseph Forte, a real factor in the opening moments of the second half to bring North Carolina to within 2. Just over 2 minutes gone. Carolina 4 out of 6 shooting in the first 2.5 minutes. Georgia Tech 0 for 3.
And they got fined 2 good jump shots. He didn't hit either one. That really hurt Georgia Tech. No double down that time.
Iron unkind to Jones as we open the second half.
Nice recovery by Curry, taking away Aiken's jump shot.
Abel popped by Haywood. Or fine, I beg your pardon.
I think it'll be Haywood with the foul.
Yeah, Haywood gets the foul, but it was Fine that was penetrating inside and took one right in the kisser.
That's Haywood's 3rd personal foul. We see Jones on the inside, looking good.
Bang.
And Haywood just comes right down and hits. Lang actually should have been over in position with some weak side help, and then Haywood wouldn't have picked up that foul.
3 on Haywood, 3 on Capel. He got all of his in the first half, so Doherty and staff will have to dig into that lineup and decide which way they want to go the late stages of this game. Fine gets a little shooter's touch and now makes an exit. Halston Lane comes in for him, number 33.
One of the things, Tim, that is really noticeable here, too, the students are not here.
Yeah.
And normally in a conference game like this, the students can be a big boost for you at this time of the game. When you're having a team make a run against you, the students can be a factor.
And finally, Forte corrals it, but it's last touched by Jones.
Oh, good call.
Here comes the overrule.
Very good call by the officials and good teamwork by the officials.
Reggie Kofer comes over to help out his teammate there.
You can see the ball hit right off Forte's knee, and a nice piece of officiating there. Georgia Tech patient in their half-court set. They're not getting anything off the press, which is what caused big problems for North Carolina in the first half. And here's Lane, left-hander, almost with a throw.
Lane really pushing inside. Brooks is trying to check him. And comes away empty that time. Halston Lane brings it down.
Boy, North Carolina didn't recognize what they had on that last set because Jones is not playing Haywood at all. Haywood could go out, set solid screens, and get Forte and Capel all kinds of jump shots.
Jones in traffic.
Wanted a foul on that one. Jones beats Haywood down the court and gives Haywood a real shoulder and then rides him to the floor.
Yeah. I tell you, they're allowing a lot more contact than the point of emphasis coming into this season, courtesy Hank Nichols, would allow, at least in the last 2 sequences.
Now watch this. Jones trying to retaliate for what he thought was a foul on the other end, and then trying to fight over the top. Haywood with a little acting job, but Jones cannot afford on his team to sit down because of foul trouble.
Now, that's his second, Billy, but I think Hewitt just wants to cool him down for a moment. He's an emotional player, and he sits down briefly. Well, Eisenhower's come in for him, number 44.
I think he had a gripe on the other end before. I thought he was fouled on that shot, but that doesn't give him the license then to go down and pick up a cheap foul. His team can't afford that. Pepper's tough in here. Tough in here.
Stays with it. Akins brings it down.
How quick is he off the floor on that second jump? This is what you like about Georgia Tech. You know, they'll force you full court, then they'll play a nice half court, nice and patient.
Yeah, and again, the spacing's so good. Lane gets a wide open shot off a nice pass from Brooks down low.
Amazing. Lane had that last shot. He looked like he didn't even know how to shoot a basketball, then beautifully delivers the much longer jump shot. He had 23 against Kentucky, so is capable.
Brooks picks up the foul. His first would not allow Capel the easy layup.
Now watch this. I said 23 against Kentucky. You think Tubby Smith was wondering where's that assistant coach with a scouting report on that game? Here's a guy you don't expect to get anything against you and hits for 23.
Capel just under 10 on the season. Now has 7 tonight.
Capel, one of the top free throw shooters in the league last year, now up over 80%, right back where he belongs. Has an excellent follow through on his shot.
Timeout. North Carolina and Georgia Tech in an entertaining opener.
Well, we've talked about Joseph Forte and his ability. Here we're just talking about how Cody used to hit back out to Forte, who was squared up for the jumper. Now, that's one of the few times this year he's had that kind of opportunity. Now watch him on the other end of his game, which is to take the ball and go to the hoop. Terrific shot on his part. The young man's got it all offensively.
You know, one of the first things you look at the field goal story, Jackets struggling in the second half. One of the first things Matt Doherty did when he became the head coach at North Carolina was fly up to Maryland to see Joseph Forte and talk to him about what to expect with the program now that he was there. There had been some talk of his flirting with the idea of perhaps leaving North Carolina, but he had talked with Troy Murphy. Nice play from downtown lane again. But he had talked with Troy Murphy, the former Notre Dame star who played with, or still with Notre Dame, who had played for Matt. He said, expect to run a lot, but you'll have an enjoyable time playing for Coach Doherty. And Forte is quite happy. Peppers.
Just waits for Brooks to go on by. Peppers with the great hands on the inside. The fella I'm waiting to get open is Marvin Lewis. Here he comes on a and walks.
Yeah, took the extra step. 6th turnover by Tech.
He has got to get something started, does Lewis, for this team. They need a little pickup offensively. So I said in the first half, had that steal, the fine play on the 360, but only has 2 points for the game.
Lane, Fine, Eisenhower, Akins, and Jones on the floor for Georgia Tech. Curry handles the pressure.
Good decision by Forte.
Jones consistently fronting Haywood on the low block. Forte right over Akins.
One of the things that North Carolina really can do is to step Haywood up at the top. Jones will not follow him. Set solid screens for the likes of Owens and Forte. Get all kinds of jump shots. A lot of banking inside. The referee's not calling it. They've let it get a little bit too rough in there, and now they can't make the adjustment.
Not at all. Not at all. Again, the last 2 or 3 sequences, the point of emphasis that we were told about prior to the start of the season have gone uncalled.
Rather than just making some quick whistles, I think the officials would be smart in this particular case at the next chance they get, whether it be a foul on either end, to talk to both of those players and say, guys, you'd like to play this whole game. Take it easy. Jones fumbles the pass.
First tie since it was 14-14. It's now 51 all. Jones. It's a foul against Alvin Jones.
And he is allowing the game mentally to get to him here. He's going to have to sit down now. And you can see the play. That's the second time Haywood did a little acting job, but there was contact created. And I would say the inconsistency of the officials to handle the way those two are pushing each other is causing some problems, and primarily in this case for Jones.
5 team fouls against Tech, only 1 against North Carolina in this half. High lob.
That's a good foul.
Yeah, Lane got him by the neck on the way down. Little incidental contact, but don't give up the easy dunk.
Absolutely, a very good foul. Put a man on the line that's shooting under 50% when he's got a shot that he's going to make 100% on.
That's something really North Carolina's got to shore up, Billy. I mean, in both cases, with Lang as well as with Haywood. You're talking about sub 50% free throw shooters, and they're going to get to the line quite a bit.
Well, that should be one of the big parts of their game, being on the line because of that 1-2 punch they have inside, but they're just shooting 64% as a team. Matt Doherty with Jones on the bench, puts Haywood on the bench as well, and still has an advantage with Lang and Peppers out there.
Jump hook in the lane.
No way for Babel to play him, giving up too much size.
North Carolina, its first lead since it was 16-14, and they had broken that 14-all tie. Just over 7 minutes deep in the second half. Tim Brando, Billy Packer, happy you joined us. Our first ACC telecast of the year. And a push down low as Fine takes it inside.
Pretty nice job by Fine that time, putting the ball on the floor. He hasn't had a lot of open looks with his jump shot. And remember, right at the start of this half, he had 2 good open looks, missed them both, and that set North Carolina on their way to this comeback.
This broadcast is a copyrighted presentation, and the use of it without the express permission of Raycom and Jefferson Pilot Sports and the ACC is prohibited.
Matt Doherty giving Forte now a little rest of a couple of minutes. There's Morrison with that great leaping ability. I think he's shocked Fine at how quickly he can get off the floor.
Now that scouting report will get around pretty soon.
He just needs to learn how to control his athletic talent.
Fines gets a pick from Brooks, and another block shot.
Lang saying, don't bring that in here. You can see that nasty look on his face.
We talked about the front lines. There have been 11 block shots in this game. Here's a steal by Owens.
Really, Brooks telegraphed that pass. Max Owens was hiding behind Lewis.
55-51.
Picked it off with the left hand, which was a good move.
Peppers on the overplay. And takes it baseline, and that's a block against Kris Lang.
Fine showing some good competitive spirit here, knowing he's got to keep his team in the game while Jones is on the bench. Jones and Akins both sitting down over there. North Carolina can handle Curry and Capel and Forte and Haywood on the bench a lot better than Georgia Tech can handle Jones and Akins on the bench.
12-16 remaining. We should again point out, although Tech has picked up more personal fouls and team fouls in the second half than has North Carolina. 3 fouls each for Forte, Brendan Haywood, and Jason Capel for North Carolina. Alston Lane and Alvin Jones check in for Georgia Tech. Fine and Brooks take a seat. And Brandon Haywood still sits for Carolina, along with Curry and Capel and Forte.
And now with Forte on the bench and Curry on the bench, let's see how that press works against North Carolina with the 2 freshmen in the backcourt.
On the double team, Vines is whistled for the foul.
Now what Jones is saying to Vines, hey, look, I can handle Peppers by myself. Don't come in here to double down on him. But one of the things Jones has to understand, too, he's got 3 fouls.
Yeah, and we're already shooting with over 12 minutes left. They're in the bonus.
Yeah. So probably not a bad job for Vines to be helping him so he doesn't pick up that cheap 4th. Referee wants North Carolina to get back to positions, get this foul shot up. Peppers with a nice touch.
4 out of 7 at the stripe so far this year. He's just got great hands, and we talked about it. Don't let the body deceive you. He's very nimble and quick off his feet. You know, they talk about quickness to the ball. Our old friend Al McGuire always talked about which team is quicker to the ball. You look at Peppers, you'd never think he's that quick to it, but he is.
Well, he's instinctively a very intelligent basketball player, too. He knows how to be in position. Look, he's out there giving directions.
Cable with Peppers in front of him. Forced a bad shot. Nice work by Julius Peppers. Good look to Peppers. Would have counted had it fallen.
Well, the pass was a little late getting to him. gave him a tough angle and allowed the defenders to get there as well. Pepper's doing a very solid job in this game, as he almost always does.
Babel gets his second.
North Carolina getting a lot of valuable minutes of rest here for their primary starting unit. Tim, we ought to point out, too, we talked about the first night of ACC basketball. That Wake Forest, I'm not surprised at home to beat Virginia, but the margin.
Yeah.
Roy Williams could tell you a little bit about the margin, but that's kind of surprising.
You and I will see Virginia next week on Tuesday against Georgia Tech. ACC basketball continues Saturday first at 1:30. Georgia Tech heads up to College Park to take on Maryland. Then in prime time at 8, NC State hits the road to Charlottesville to play Virginia. Check local listings for your Raycom Jefferson Pilot Sports Station in your area. Well, Georgia Tech trying to get a home victory to begin the Paul Hewitt era. And there you look at our NCAA scoreboard. Maryland up on Clemson now, 77-73, and that's late. Wake Forest, we were touching on that a bit earlier, 96-73 over Virginia. Demon Deacons continue hot.
We talked about that, of the upper three in the echelon to start off the season anyway. Maryland, there's another example, playing at Clemson. You have got to win those games if you're going to be among that upper echelon.
Jones, nice dish. Lane stays with it. Cuts the lead to 3.
Lane giving some big, that's his third basket of the second half. Some very valuable points, particularly with Lewis not putting anything on the board.
By the way, on the next dead ball, Billy, Tony Akins will come in. He was 4 out of 6 from downtown in the first half. He's not taken a shot in the second half. Morrison gives it up on the switch by Tech.
Nice patience on this possession for North Carolina. They've got to get the ball in the hands of a shooter to end it. There it is.
Nice dish.
Morrison, that was one of the best possessions North Carolina has had in this game. Good patience, eventually getting the ball to the right people.
60-55. Two excellent shooters will come in. The next dead ball, Fine will join up with Akins.
Good push ahead by Morrison, and then makes the pass that wasn't there. Vines just waiting on him.
Well, Curry made that same mistake a couple of times in the first half. Vines from deep. Just not enough scores on the floor for Georgia Tech.
Well, Lewis, again, not able to get the shots that you'd expect. He's a nice pure shooter. As I said, twice has already been named Rookie of the Week in the ACC. But not getting it done tonight.
Boone, too strong. Laying on the glass.
Oh, he got hurt.
Right. On the putback opportunity.
Yes, he did.
I tell you,
see how quickly he gets up. You don't want to see this young man have to have any more injuries.
Third foul on Babel. Well, you touched on it earlier. I mean, it was just incredible what happened to him last year.
Did he come down on somebody's foot? I think so, real quickly. Yeah. He bounces up. There was a case, Boone, not a good outside shooter, and they're giving him that shot.
Well, last year, he had the sprained ankle, sprained left quad, and knee. And he played in 35 of the 36 games. I think the thing that hurt him the most, we had that virus.
Yeah.
And then when he was trying to get himself back in shape, he lost about 25 to 30 pounds, and he had bulked up during that period. And then he got the shin splints while he was trying to work himself back into shape.
Yeah, it was just a lost season. And one of the things different here at Georgia Tech, for those people watching for the first time, they've changed the locations of the benches, Tim, because Paul Hewitt felt that he wanted the opposing teams in the second half to have to shoot into the face of the student body. Yeah. But the student body's not here tonight, so he doesn't gain that advantage.
They saw those numbers on Akins as he walked into the game. You really have to think about getting him the basketball or allowing him an opportunity to get an open jumper on the wing. 4 out of 6 from 3. And he's yet to take a shot in the second half.
Well, Curry's on him. Curry's a pretty good defender. Over Haywood.
Boy, did he thread that pass.
Haywood turns around and looks like, where is the weak side help? But the angle of that pass was such that you couldn't come across the lane.
Well, even having Akins out there, the ability to pass it inside, you have to respect that shot.
Sure.
And Fine will pick up the foul. His second.
Well, see, here's why there's no help. The pass was at such an angle that there was no way for anybody on the weak side to get over there in time. Good job by Jones in positioning. And as you said before, Curry had to be out on Akins because Akins has the outstanding outside shot.
Capel at the stripe.
Solid all-around player is Capel. Pretty good rebounder, pretty good defenders, got the outside shot, get some key rebounds for you.
Talking about the strength and courage of Lane last year. During the College of Charleston game, he got sick, came back, made a key shot to break the tie in that game in the Tournament of Champions recently held.
John Kris with another outstanding team there. He just keeps the reloading. Is there anybody in the country that's consistently at a program that's not one of the big-time programs done any better than John has? I don't know of him.
Well, taping up that ankle of Lang along the sideline. Will Johnson picked up the foul for North Carolina. His first. You're right about Kris. And if you close your eyes, you'd swear you were talking to Louis Carnesecca.
Well, that's where he got his start.
63-57. Carolina leads by 6. 9:14 to play. You know, we're seeing, I think, in North Carolina, the ability they have matchup-wise with their size. You see the schedule that they have coming up. A break out of conference to take on Marquette. They've got an interesting early season schedule. Doherty got a chance to see his team against some formidable competition before he got into conference play. I know you like to champion that cause.
Well, I certainly think it's a good idea, and I think when it comes NCAA tournament time, there are some programs, if you finish in the top 3 of the major conferences, you're going to get in. But then all of a sudden you get in that 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th spot, and a lot of it is going to be determined on who did you play outside of your league and how well did you play against them.
A good example would be Georgia Tech. Let's say this is a team that conceivably could win 18 games, 17, 18 games. I mean, I think it's a conservative number to think. If you can win, look at that, 5 of their next 6 opponents are all ranked teams right now. You come through an ACC, say a 500 or better, and you've got non-conference wins against UCLA and Kentucky, provided their tournament ready, and they've got a schedule that allows them to get in. That certainly bodes well for Paul Hewitt. But you have to win at home in the league. You absolutely have to do that. And, of course, you can also have what are considered good losses. Yeah. You know, when you start going on the road, you play. Now, the margin of victory at Stanford certainly wouldn't be considered a good loss. But, you know, you took on a Stanford, right now the #1 team in the nation, on the road. You played at Iowa. Jason Capel just got his 4th, Billy. And Doherty couldn't believe it. Larry Rose quickly pointed out, hey, that's contact. And it was away from the basket right in front of everybody. And that means Peppers will have to check in. And Matt Doherty would like to stay man-to-man in this game, but one of the things that he could have thought about as well to keep Capel out there some, maybe play a little zone. The referees are not doing a good job with low post defense. Now, what happened there, Haywood probably committed 5 or 6 fouls before that one was finally called. That's his 4th, so that means Capel and Haywood each with 4. But look at it, you know, there are tons of fouls here. That's all this year. And Haywood's complaining, saying, well, you know, it hasn't been consistent. I think the officials, probably after about 2-3 minutes of this second half, should have got both of those guys and said, fellas, I'd like for you to play the whole game. You're not going to be out here long if you keep this up. Jones, not there. Fine, could not retrieve it. Good tap. Oh, nice work by Brooks. Inside to Eisenhower. More contact, this time Peppers. I think Eisenhower, because he could never get the handle, made some incredible fakes. The problem was he didn't have the ball. It turned out to be effective for him. It does go against Curry rather than Peppers. First foul against him, 7th team foul, so Georgia Tech gets to the stripe. Michael Eisenhower. Played at Air Force. Didn't have big numbers there and won't have them here either. But given valuable minutes and providing some size for a Georgia Tech team that certainly is undermanned in that area. Yeah, really, when you get past Jones, they become very small. Yep. And not just in height. They don't have a lot of thickness either. Post-up capability, even with a 6'6", 6'7" type. Well, I think that Paul Hewitt's
real job with this particular team, and he's done a fabulous job getting them to this point, where to be able to keep their confidence as they go into these stretches of games where you know they're going to be a decided underdog.
Forte picks up a bump, and we'll get to the line as Sean Fine picks up his third.
And because this team, wouldn't you agree, Tim, has really produced a lot more than the talent that you see out here on the floor.
No question. And they bought into the style that Hewitt has. And I think in large measure, Billy, you get more excited when you know you're going to play. And then when you're told, hey, give me X number of minutes and give me all you've got. And I think that's what Hewitt prescribes for success here at Georgia Tech. And he's certainly getting that.
Well, guys buy into it initially, and then they buy into it even more when you start having some success. The problem becomes, however, if you start getting hammered. And then guys say, oh, my goodness, I'm going out there and getting hammered. And that's what they really have to guard against.
Marvin Lewis on the wing, not there.
Nice job by Curry against Jones.
Forte with Lang, Curry, Peppers, and Owens. As Haywood sits down with Capel, both with 4. Out of bounds to North Carolina.
Tim, I want you to watch Jones defensively. He will not guard the man that he is assigned to anywhere beyond 12 feet. So that guy is of no value unless he'll go out and set screens. Now watch, he's guarding Lang right now. Anytime Lang steps out to the top, Jones will not be on him.
Forte driving.
Beautiful.
Great dish. I mean, Mom's Sunday best coming from Forte there. Just the sleight of hand with really no spacing.
Well, how about how smart he was here, because he knew who was going to be there but Jones for the block. So he lays it off. Lang really should have been better prepared to put that one away.
How many times would you see a player like that make a move and you'd say, wow, he's bailing. He's really putting his teammate in a tough spot. In that case, it was a great pass.
It was a terrific pass.
Well, Lang, another one of those problem spots at the free throw line. Look at that. 44% down measurably for him. Cans that one.
It looks like that tape job put him back in good shape, though, that when he fell down before, because he's running at normal pace.
He probably doesn't know what it feels like to be completely healthy and playing hurt most of his career. Tough pass picked off by Forte. 10th turnover by Tech. Lang, yeah, he's running the floor well. Missed that one, though. And Sean Fine lost it out of bounds. Carolina has pushed their lead back up to double digits. 7:38 remaining in their ACC opener. All right, it's the new arithmetic, Billy. That really is double digits. It's just 58 and 66. Those are double digits. It's not a double digit. You follow me?
Bail yourself out. I'm not going to help
Our Chrysler Plymouth game summary looks this way. You know, even with Haywood over from the floor, he's been more of a factor in the second half, particularly in getting in Alvin Jones's head.
Well, particularly the first 10 minutes of the half when it really was a factor. There you see Georgia Tech in the out of bounds, and Jones gets a piece of that one.
Yet again, 3 blocks for him tonight.
Akins could use a solid screen to get that jumper off. It's just not there. It goes.
It does go.
Now they're going to rule it. Oh!
No. That's a tough one. Paul Hewitt can't believe it, and I don't blame him. And he did ask for help there.
I thought that was all part of the continuation there, but Georgia Tech doesn't get a break. We'll see the pass by Lane. Babel grabs it, gets fouled. You know what? I'm going to agree with that official.
Yeah, I think it was a good call. Upon further review, right? Well, Hewitt really begged for it, and understandably so.
He was fouled twice, and the first one was that grab right over the top.
But again, in deference to the official, he did ask for help, and he got it.
There's the difference between the opportunity for 3 and they don't get any.
66-58. Forte doubled. great pass. What presence of mind. With the follow.
Now, he was a foot over the rim when he grabbed that ball. Excellent timing on his part.
They have really suffocated Akins as North Carolina's defense.
There's Curry.
Yep.
If that had been a good pass, Akins, for the first time in a while, would have had an opportunity for an open look. Here we see Peppers. Look at where he threw that down from. Amazing.
I mean,
watch this elevation. Man.
I mean, he is like a modern-day version of Wes Unseld with plenty of hops.
I say more Barkley.
Yeah.
You know, and certainly not putting him in the same caliber as player, but that big man getting up in the air like that. Lewis having a terrible night. Can't get anything to go.
Peppers.
Wow, Peppers.
Babel hitting the deck.
Peppers saying, give me a football helmet here.
And that foul will go against Babel.
He's out of here, right?
That's his 5th. You know, you made the comparison there to Barkley. I will say this. I did a number of Charles's games when he was in college. He certainly had a great deal more body fat at that time in his life.
Absolutely. You know,
than Julius Peppers.
Now, you know, Peppers now
Charles had to work to get in Julius's shape.
Absolutely. When you figure that Peppers is about 265 or 70, Charles played at that kind of weight but wasn't in shape.
Right.
In shape, Charles need to be about 240. So Peppers is in shape at 265.
You were right about that dunk. The extension of the body for the throwdown on the follow dunk is what impresses you most about his athletic capability. And in football, he led the ACC in sacks, and those are tackles for losses, the TFLs. I know you're a basketball guy. I thought I'd help you with that. And he did have a couple of touchdowns on defense. So pretty good numbers with that other ball as well. He still could, when you think about it, Billy, have the most TFLs and follow slams of any player ever in football or basketball.
Combination, huh?
Yeah.
All right, who was the greatest football basketball combination player of all time? We've had some great baseball basketball combinations.
I'll give that some thought. That will require a little thought.
Okay.
Give me one timeout.
Okay.
It's a very important sequence for Georgia Tech.
Look at Pepper again with that quickness.
He's a difference maker.
He is. He's a brilliant basketball player the way he thinks the game. I just enjoy watching him.
Eisenhower checks back into the game for Jones. Key to this game, North Carolina's defense in the second half, not allowing Akins a shot from the perimeter and snuffing out Jones. And I think Akins hitting a shot would allow Jones to get free a bit more.
Is that Curry up in the air? Pretty good leap on his part. The football players are taking over.
And Lang right into Eisenhower.
Well, with Jones not on the floor right now, Babel out of there with 5 fouls. Georgia Tech really falling off now. They're extremely young with what they've got on the floor, particularly experience-wise. Akins, the only guy that's really had any playing time in ACC basketball. Georgia Tech in serious trouble here. They battled back once before.
$15 points and 12 boards for Lang, as you see Jones.
Talking to Willie Reese over there, former Georgia Tech player.
The only holdover on this staff. Paul Hewitts.
It is a little strange to watch a Georgia Tech game here without seeing a guy in a blazer and a yellow tie, isn't it?
That floppy white hair. We wish Bobby and family all the best. There's Akins at long last. He drains a 3.
And made his own shot that time. Didn't get a big screen, but took advantage of it.
First shot of this half, Billy. With 5:36 to play, and it's now an 8-point game.
And he had 4 threes in the first half. If you've got a player like that, you've got to get him some open looks. See, there's a case where Curry went way behind not only the screener, but his own teammate, and gave Akins a wide open look. You've got to fight over the top of that double screen. if you're going to go ahead and play defense against a guy that's not going to shoot it.
You know, you're talking about shooters and point guards and guards in general. That's a pretty good one right there.
Charlie Scott, one of the best that's ever played in the ACC. Was one of those guys, as is Forte, that had the outside jumper. He could take it to the basket. He could pull up short. A great defensive player and rebounder. He just was outstanding in all facets of the game. Excellent student of the game as well.
Yeah, you know, and one of those players, as a youngster growing up, Billy, you say you love watching this guy play. Charlie Scott was a guy you'd say, man, your eyes would just focus on him. Among the 10 guys on the floor, Charlie Scott's the guy you had a tendency to, your eyes would rotate in his direction.
Absolutely. Recruited out of Laurinburg Institute by the left-hander, and it got away. Dean Smith got him. He became an All-American at North Carolina.
Big defensive sequence here for Georgia Tech. Lang gets free again.
Just too much size by North Carolina now with Jones sitting on the bench. He'll have to come back in the ballgame with just 5 minutes to go.
Akins off a pick from Eisenhower that puts Curry on the deck, turns it over. Forte. Oh, to Owens.
Beautiful pass by Forte.
Boy, his all-floor game is really on display tonight.
And here comes Jones back in the game with 4 minutes to go. He's got to be on the floor. There's no threat inside whatsoever.
On the wing. Tough shot. Hit the side of the backboard, run down, and out of bounds to Tech.
Well, Fine and Akins both realize with that lineup out there, they've got to get some shots up, even if they're bad shots. But normally you take bad shots and it really hurts your club.
Jones checks in, and immediately Brendan Haywood comes in for Chris Lang.
Lang's had a solid basketball game, both ends of the floor.
So it's Marvin Lewis, Alston Lane, Tony Akins, Alvin Jones, and Sean Fine on the floor for Georgia Tech.
Tried a double curl for Lane, but couldn't do much with it.
Tough shot by Fine, pulled down by Haywood.
North Carolina now just trying to one shot and done for Georgia Tech time and time again. North Carolina really taking advantage of that power advantage they have.
Basket here. 4-minute mark.
I like this move by North Carolina, taking a little bit of clock here.
They get it up to 14 or 15. It'll be tough to catch. And they just did.
That's probably Curry's best ability to score, is when he kind of goes one-on-one and takes his man, use that upper body strength to go inside.
Akins. He's now 5 of 7, 5 of 8 from downtown after missing that one. And that was a tough take. 75-61.
You know, Curry would be pretty difficult to handle in a four corners situation, you know, with his strength. Another great pass by Forte.
Owens.
Now there's a case where Haywood reached for the ball instead of moving his feet, getting underneath, catching it with two hands and putting it away.
3:21 remaining. Coming up on Saturday, Raycom and Jefferson Pilot Sports brings you ACC basketball as Georgia Tech travels to Maryland to take on the Terrapins. Ronnie Baxter and company. Then at night, North Carolina State against Virginia. Cavaliers will be trying to come back from that dismantling at the hands of Wake Forest tonight when they get together. Check your local listings for ACC basketball in your area.
Dave Odom, another one of the coaches that's using that revolving door substitution pattern. But he's got a lot more experienced guys and talented guys than does Georgia Tech.
Forte, not this time. The tip in for Owens. And that size is really becoming a factor down the stretch as Carolina has opened up a 16-point lead. Most of it done really in the last 5 minutes, though they got out to a huge run to start the second half. A 10-0 run to cut what was a 12-point lead to 2 and really never looked back.
Well, when you break this game down and you take a look at the first 3 or 4 minutes when it was very obvious that North Carolina had superior personnel and they got some easy baskets, got a relatively easy lead, and then kind of went to sleep. Georgia Tech made a terrific comeback in this game, played about as well as they could play, and then North Carolina here in the second half is just taken over with the superior personnel and much better size and all-around ability.
See Babel sitting with the 5 fouls. Vines will come in.
And that again is going to be Paul Hewitt's big job now. This team is going on the road facing some very, very difficult opponents. And it'll be tough for them to go ahead and come away with any victories. But the key thing they've got to do is to come away with enough confidence to keep going.
Yeah, they're 2 weeks away from playing another home game.
Oh, absolutely. That's tough.
Timeout, North Carolina. In addition, where that schedule is concerned, 5 of the next 6 games will be going up against ranked teams. 77-63, a 14-point lead with 2:36 to play. And Advanced Auto Parts presents the play of the game. Joseph Forte's 3 early in the second half scored 8 of Carolina's first 17 points, really getting them out to a great start. And as we said, they really never looked back. And again, I think defensively, taking Akins away, taking that perimeter jumper away was also a big, big catalyst. That along with the overall floor game of that young man who as a sophomore plays more like a senior.
Well, you know, one of the things about Forte too, if you take this game, Tim, and start breaking it down, obviously his scoring speaks for itself, but his decision making tonight, just think of, you know, what mistakes did he make out there? I mean, his decision making on the floor has been excellent. He's always under control, doesn't take bad shots. There was an example. He realized the spacing was bad, so he got out of the way. Made sure there wasn't a turnover. Nice passing.
He read the double team, Billy, to start. Sure. You know, there were 3 excellent passes there, and it all began with Forte.
Right. You know, there's a player that won't be on any stat sheet. He got in a situation where he realized they didn't have good floor balance, got out of the way for Capel, then went over, recognized a double team coming, got rid of the ball at the right time. All things that will never show up in any stat sheet, but the kind of things that will help you win a basketball game. And he's a lot of fun to watch. He never expends energy that's not necessary. He's made a number of very subtle, beautiful passes today. He's a good one.
One of the things about Forte, too, you know, when Bill Guthridge was being hammered by the media last year, he was very defensive of that situation. And he said when they made that run to the Final Four, he was just happy for Coach Guthridge that he get what he deserved as a coach, because he knew at the beginning of the year the team just wasn't playing as well as they should have been playing.
Beautiful crossover by Akins. He just froze the defense on that play.
79-65, under 2 minutes left.
See, I think one of the things that North Carolina can take advantage of against pressure is Capel's ability to come out and handle the ball. And with his size, he can throw over double teams by most guards. There he goes again.
Nice little exhibition of dribbling there. Lang working in on Jones. Jones clears.
Lang would like to have that one back. Good screening by Jones gives, and that's what I thought was there in the second half when they needed him. Some solid screens. They never gave him any.
Yeah, they got away from that. Therein lies when Carolina was able to grab this lead and hang on.
ACC basketball has been brought to you by Food Lion, by Advance Auto Parts, by your local Jeep dealers, by Pepsi, by Bank of America, by Michelob Light, and by Dodge.
Happy New Year, Billy. It's great to be with you to start a new season in the ACC, and I think we've been entertained. I think we're finding out that Georgia Tech, they have the ability to overachieve, and North Carolina certainly made the proper adjustments tonight and are worthy of being a ranked team. Currently number 13 coming into tonight's game.
Excellent job on their part, particularly at the start of the second half. They played a very poor game in the midpoint of the first half, but came out very well in the second half, particularly offensively.
There you see our Pepsi players of the game. Lang certainly helped out. When you think of Haywood, no points, 7 boards, and yet a double-digit lead. He got a lot of help from his friend Kris Lang, and we pointed that out at the top of the show. And those are our Pepsi players of the game.
Well, it was 2 against 1 on the inside. Jones did a great job in that first half, negating those 2 fellas, but then he got a little bit of push and shove with Haywood in the second half, got his mind off the game somewhat, and it hurt him.
Tony Akins played as well as he could. He just did not get enough looks in the second half. Carolina taking some of that away.
Well, also in the game tonight, when you start talking about Marvin Lewis, a freshman who's really played extremely well in the month of December, not having much of a game at all tonight, with the exception of that steal. Again, solid screens coming up.
And that's the shot that he normally would drain if he's hot. Akins again. This time.
Push from behind.
Goal against Forte. Well, that's finally something Joseph did wrong. We've been waiting all evening. So is there any area where you could be critical? That time a slight push.
Well, if it was a push, he did it with class.
Yeah.
Because everything else he does with class.
That's right. Leads the team in steals. Scoring as a freshman. That was, think about it, not many freshmen that can lead a team in scoring, and at North Carolina it never happened.
Right.
Until last year.
You know, we talked about the going up to play at Maryland. When you think of, Lang in the lane, he'll get another one if he misses, doesn't make it. But Lefty Driesell right here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
The old left-hander at Maryland, having obviously his team off to a great start here, but he's down with a little bit of a neck problem of his own, and hoping that he gets back here rapidly. I'm sure everybody, basketball fans, read about Rick Majerus.
Yes.
A tough break there for Rick, who's been battling back from that knee surgery and had another little setback. Hopefully it's a little setback, and I know that everybody extends their best wishes for Lute Olson.
Absolutely.
Who lost his partner in life, Bobby, and that is something I will be doing a game this week out there, Arizona and Stanford, and that was a great combo. She worked very hard in that basketball program, whether it was at Arizona or up at Iowa. Terrific lady.
We've had the occasion to meet a number of wives of coaches, and they're a special lot.
Yep.
And go through a great deal. Well, for Matt Doherty, he'll have an opportunity to go in the record books with his ACC debut. Frank McGuire, Dean Smith, Bill Guthridge all won their ACC openers, and it'll happen for Matt Doherty as well.
Now, the other thing, another beautiful fake. The other thing is, if you're North Carolina, you have to win these kind of games. That will be an intentional foul by Jones. Why would you do this? You're down 11, 39 seconds to go. Why would you commit that kind of a foul? Doesn't make any sense, does it?
Well, Hewitt just shakes his head. I mean, he clearly wanted to foul, but not that way.
No. Paul just looks down that bench and makes no sense whatsoever.
I think through the years, and Jones has played better. He's played with more emotion. But there are times, and you could see it tonight, during that stage where Haywood started putting a body on him.
Flip the switch.
Yeah, the switch flipped, and it went the other way, and the positive energy became negative energy.
Yep. Yeah, Paul Hewitt wants no fouls now. Just let the clock run out here.
Yeah.
Push off by Curry, gets away with it.
I think you're going to see a number of teams, Billy, that look a lot different at home than they look on the road. Virginia may be a good example of that.
Well, I sure wouldn't want to go up and have to play them next week after what happened to them against Wake Forest tonight.
And the Tar Heels of North Carolina will move to 10-2, 1-0 in ACC play as Capel Drains it as the shot clock wound down.
Yeah, he had to take the shot or North Carolina would have lost possession anyway.
That'll do it. North Carolina comes from 12 down to win by 14, 84-70 over Georgia Tech. We hope you enjoyed our debut of ACC basketball on Raycom and Jefferson Pilot Sports. For Billy Packer, our producer Rob Reichley, director Ken Dennis, and our entire Raycom and Jefferson Pilot Sports crew, this is Tim Brando saying so long. You've been watching exclusive coverage of ACC basketball on the Raycom and Jefferson Pilot Sports Network. Good night, everybody.